When I started this program, the key thought that I had in my mind was around us finding time to sit down and contemplate and think about our lives, right? And the one thing that I love about reflection is the fact that it gives us an opportunity to actually inform ourselves about how we've been living our lives, right? And what I love about that information is that it informs your steps in terms of how you proceed into the next chapter, into the next phase of your life. And today is the first Monday of December. Hi, and welcome to today's video. But in thinking about a new year, the end of the year, this is a perfect time to actually sit down and shut the world out and really just sit and reflect on your lived experience. You've lived through 12 whole months of 2024, 11, I guess, going into December. But you've been blessed to live through 11 months of 2024, and you'd find, if you really think about it, there are people who didn't make it into the month of December, but you made it, right? And in thinking about your lived experience holistically, to say, but there is something that God wants to do through you, in you, for your family, for your community, for your continent, for the world ultimately that lives within you. And there's a quote that I want to share as a way of laying foundation of today's video that says, "The best time to start was yesterday. The next best time is now." The best time to start was yesterday. The next best time is now, right? And the topic that I'm going to be talking about today, I also covered in my 8-week free 8-week life coaching program that I titled Envisioning the Next Decade. And if you did the program, congratulations. But if you haven't, please do check it out, as it will cement and kind of just add a bit of color to what we are going to be talking about today. And I really just want to have a conversation with you today. Like, when you think about goals, when you think about resolutions, do you get like a funny feeling in the pit of your stomach? Do you get like a knot in your throat? Do you get anxiety just thinking about it, right? I think since probably the last week and going into this new week, there's a lot going around in terms of planners, new you, new me, a lot of, I'd say, information that is tied towards reflection, which I truly love. But what I realize is that there's so many tools out there, but really, do we allow ourselves to actually make time to do the work, right? Just simply with a piece of paper or with an A4 lined notebook. Would you allow yourself time to actually sit and reflect on your lived experience, right? So we are going to be talking about goals. It took a while to arrive there, but we are going to be talking about goals. And I think for a lot of people, when you think about your goals, it's such a cringy topic to, I'd say, want to interact with or to bring into your lived experience. And I'm hoping that even as we have this conversation today, you will be able to allow yourself to put yourself on the hot seat for a minute, right? And how we're going to do today's video is really just thinking about one specific goal, right? There is that one thing that at the beginning of the year you may have wanted to do, you may have wanted to accomplish. Think about it. As soon as I said that, there's probably something that popped into your mind. There's something that popped into my own mind in thinking about that one thing that I wanted to accomplish this year. So what is it? Right? So when you think about your goals, the key question that you're supposed to be answering when that goal arrives is, what do you want, right? And I think as a confrontation or just as a chit chat between you and me today, I really want to ask you if you have arrived at that place, or you've received, if you have received that thing that you had at the beginning of the year when you thought about this thing that you want to accomplish in your life, right? So has it arrived? And if not, why not? And that is the reason why we are here today. So even as I share, I'd want for you to think about that one goal that you had set at the beginning of the year, whatever it is. Maybe you wanted to lose weight. I did, and I did. I did. I'm proud of myself. Not as much as I thought I would, but I committed to it. But what is it for you? So even as I share, please think about that one goal. Keep it at the top of your mind. And today is really structured, almost like a workshop. Imagine me in your living room or at a workshop venue, and you're sitting by a table with a pen and paper, right? So for each of the points that I'm going to speak to, I am going to leave you with a question or an exercise that you can do to really reflect on the one goal that you had set for yourself for 2024. And also, even as you think through and set the goals for 2025, this exercise will also help you to filter whether or not the goal is achievable or not. Right? So let's jump right into it. So today's episode is titled Refocusing Your Goals, and it is part of week 3 of my 4-week coaching program, Renew, Reflect, and Realign. Renew, Reflect, and Realign. And the key idea behind the program is to help you reflect on 2024 and really think about 2025 even as you do it, because even as you sit down and reflect on the goal that you're going to reflect on today, you are going to actually catch yourself and see areas that you may have gone wrong, where you had to put in more work or push into another gear, like my friend has been sharing on his status, which I like. But I'd want for you to really just think about those two things, 2024, 2025, or those two time periods, what you did and what you hope to do in the coming year. So as a way of introducing goals, I am going to assume that you haven't done the 8-week program. This is the first time we're encountering each other in terms of this particular thematic area of goals. And I think the key thought that I'd want for us to think about, even as we go into today's video, is that I'd want for you to get to a place where you set goals not only for, I'd say, material gain, but you set goals with your values and aspirations at the top of your mind, right? Not at the back of your mind, but top of mind, your values and what it is you want to accomplish. And I think in thinking about realigning, right? Realigning, even as you sit down and reflect on 2024, what it's going to help you do is to then actually catch to say, wait a minute, I haven't actually been living in alignment in 2024. And it's not over until it's over. So there is an opportunity for you to actually reflect and then say, you know what, in 2025, this is what I'm going to tweak. This is what I've actually realized as a weakness in terms of me being able to accomplish this goal. So the first question that I want to ask you, and you can pause this video, please do feel free to pause the video. It'll be here even when you get back. But the question that I'd want for you to reflect on, I think I'm feeling sleepy. My eyes are closing themselves. As a ramble, I am a professional sleeper. Like, I can sleep on command. So I think after this recording, I'm going to take a nap. So the question, we're back. The question is, did I set goals for 2024? Did I set goals for 2024? What were they? What were they? A lot of people, I think myself included, always think about resolutions and cringe, and they're like, nope, I'm not doing that, right? And I think going into the next decade, for me personally, I am dumping the resolution train and hopping onto a place where I sit down and set my goals for the year. A year has 12 months, and you can actually decide for yourself. Like, let me give you an example that I love giving, to say, if you want to write a book in 12 months, right? And you publish, let's say, December 2024, right? Or November. The first 3 months would be dedicated to you writing. And in those 3 months, there's 12 weeks. And every week, you can actually set aside time to write or type out your manuscript. And by the end of the 3 months, that manuscript will be done. Month 4, you can take that manuscript and send it to a few people that maybe you want actually to comment on your book, either on the back cover or inside the book as a prologue. Send it to them, have them read it, have them give you their honest feedback about it. Month 4. Month 5, you start reworking your work or rewriting, I'd say, or making edits, but also sourcing out a publisher, engaging your publisher, your designer, how you want your cover to look. Are you going to be on the cover or not? By month 6, you should have a fully fledged manuscript, right? A fully fledged manuscript. And from month 7 to month 9, you start planning for marketing. You start planning for the book launch with your publisher, or even by yourself if you're trying to cut costs. And by month 10, you start making sales for the book launch event. And by month 11, you have your book launch. Wasn't that so easy? And that was one goal, right? If you've ever wanted to write a book, please take it as is and put it down and really think it through. And please invite me or send me complimentary tickets for 2 to your book launch if this has inspired or woken up something within you in terms of starting to write that book. I personally am someone who loves listening to people's stories, so I will buy it, I will read it, I will probably review it. So please do, right? So that was just a by the way, right? So thinking about whether or not you set goals for 2024, what were they? And the second part that I want for us to think about together, right, is understanding goals. When you think about your goals, I wouldn't want you to operate from a place where you are, I'd say, dreaming and wishing. Right? And let me explain, because in my first program, on the 8-week program, I talked about allowing yourself to dream. But in this case, what I mean is, I'd say pie in the sky kind of thinking, where it's actually something that might not be able to happen, that is not realistic for you to happen. And I think when we get into the third part of this video, you will actually see what I mean about that, right? But there needs to be a clear outcome. I usually give this example to say, imagine you and your friends are planning a trip. The question would be, where are you going, right? When are you going? What are you going to do when you're there? Why are you going, right? You can answer those 5 whys and a how, I think. Is that how you say it? I think so. But a clear intent or the clear outcome, and what it does, it allows you to actually start preparing for the trip. You can think about what you're going to wear. You can think about the itinerary in terms of what you're going to do. And also, if you're planning, let's say, a trip to go to Bali next year, November, you can then actually break it down into 11 months and say, we're going to Bali in November. Every single month, everyone has to contribute $600. And we will all be able to go on the girls' trip. And hopefully, it'll leave the WhatsApp chat or the boys' trip. So there needs to be a clear outcome, right? If you aren't able to actually outline what the end looks like for your goals, there might be something wrong there. And we are going to learn how to clarify that, right? And what I noted down in terms of understanding your goals is that they help you answer the question, what do I want? Right? What do I want? So what I've noticed down here is to say that clear goals are crucial. Clear goals are crucial for focus, motivation, and measurement. If you do not measure it, you cannot control it, right? And I think the fact that we measure time, it allows for us to plan our lives, and have a sense of control in a way, to an extent, given that we really can't control our lives to the fullest extent. But we have the opportunity to actually plan it out, given that we know that we have 24 hours, right? So the question that I want to ask you for this portion that I just spoke to in terms of understanding your goals is, what would your life look like in 5 years if you started pursuing your goals today? What would your life look like in 5 years if you started pursuing your goals today? I personally get excited when I answer these questions in my mind because it allows me to dream, right? It pushes me out of the routine of the day and pulls me into a place where I can actually dream, but practically. So I'd say what you're learning is to be a practical dreamer. So pause this video and allow yourself to answer this question. What would your life look like in 5 years if you started pursuing your goals today? And remember the quote that I shared, the best time to start was yesterday. The next best is now. So the third last part of our video is thinking through something that is quite popular in the goal setting space, which is the S.M.A.R.T Framework, right? And a framework is really just giving you structure, something that is structured that can allow for you to get to the goal, right? In not so much a haphazard way, but a very structured way, right? So for the S.M.A.R.T methodology, I'm just going to use an example. And S.M.A.R.T, before I get into the example, is an acronym that stands for S, specific, M, measurable, A, attainable, R, realistic, and T for time bound. And what you can do as well, you can always go on Google, look it up, read through all the material that exists around that, watch the TED Talks, and over and above watching this video, of course. Please don't leave. Shoot, guys, it's so hot. I'm actually burning up. Just gonna switch on the AC. Yeah, here we go. All right, so the S.M.A.R.T framework, I've explained what it looks like or what it is. So I'm going to give an example. Remember, we are thinking through one goal. We're thinking through one goal, right? So I've given an example here of a goal that is not SMART to say, in 2025, I want to be healthier. Thank you. It's not a SMART goal. But in thinking about the S.M.A.R.T methodology, it talks about being specific, right? Maybe your health journey is about gaining weight or losing weight, but there needs to be clarity in that, right? So the example that I gave is related to losing weight. And what I noted is I will lose 10 kg in 3 months. 10 kg, let's say in 10 months. 10 kgs in 10 months by exercising 3 times a week and eating balanced meals. So that's smarter. I'd say, oh, it's EJ. This time I got a weave and not a wig. So life is a bit harder. Excuse me. So the S.M.A.R.T framework, I'd want for you to pause this video and just take 30 seconds to write down that one goal using the S.M.A.R.T framework, right? We're at a place where we are learning something new, and what I'm hoping it'll do, the new information, I'm hoping that it'll change how you've been approaching things, right? So this one goal, maybe at the beginning of the year, you just wrote, I want to travel. Not very specific, not very measurable. So let's take the travel example and then I'll go to the last 2 parts of the video. So I want to travel in 2025 is not a SMART goal. And here's why, right? It's not specific. And I think I'm going to use that for my TikTok. Let me actually write that down before I forget it. I want to travel in 2025. Feels like I'm choosing violence, but it's not a SMART goal, right? And it's not specific. Where do you want to go, right? When do you want to go? Specificity in this case, right? When do you want to go? Where do you want to go? Maybe you want to go to Greece. Want to go to Greece in June? Maybe you want to go to Old Trafford and watch a game in June. Maybe you want to go to Bora Bora in December. Whatever it is, but where do you want to go, right? And I usually think, like, if time and money were not an issue, I would be able to actually be specific to say, I want to go to Bora Bora for 7 weeks, baby, right? So specificity, right? When and where for the travel example. Measurable, I can measure then in terms of accommodation, in terms of flight, in terms of time left, in terms of total costs. And if you need to save and you don't have disposable income, you can actually spread it out over 6 months to know how much you need to save to have a fun time. Is it realistic, right? Maybe I want to go to, let's say, Monaco, right? I'm not very well off and financially. I don't have that much in terms of savings. So I can't go to a very high-end or expensive city because I can't afford it, right? So it's not realistic. Maybe a Cape Town, maybe a Sicily. I don't know if it's expensive or not. But Cape Town, because I know I'll have done the cost analysis for that city, right? But it needs to be realistic, and it also needs to be time bound. And I know that I put the time boundness under the specificity, but still works. The when, right? And I think in now going and drilling down to a deeper detail, you can actually specify and say, I am traveling on the 11th of June until the 21st of June, 10 wholesome days, right? And what you can do and what that does, if you're working, when you're doing your leave plan, you can actually incorporate it to say, when I take my block leave, I'm out of here, right? And let people know well in advance. So it helps you plan even past your personal life, right? And something that I'd want to add to both the health example and the travel example is the second last point of having a vision and purpose tied to our goals, right? So in thinking about losing weight, for me personally, I was now starting to feel very insecure and not very confident in my body when I started gaining weight. And I decided I need to lose this weight so that I feel comfortable in my body yet again. So the purpose in this case, I'd say the why, or the big reason why you're doing that thing, has to be strong enough. Good, it has to go to the deepest part of your heart where you're distressed, and it speaks to that particular area, right? So in terms of travel, maybe you want to go to a particular city and you're connected to that particular place because of, maybe you saw it in your favorite movie and you want to go there. But I think in thinking about the bigger reason, right? I think having an intention, when I think about it actually, in this case, and I think of something that Oprah said in the opening word in The Seat of the Soul, when she's talking about intention, to say each and every cast member, she made sure that for every show there was a clear intent as to why they were doing that show. If it's to entertain, let it be that. So even if you're traveling, maybe you're just traveling for fun, let it be fun. Maybe you've had a very long year, that's a good enough reason. But also in thinking about, I'd say, your vision in terms of your life. Maybe you're someone who you've decided that for the next 10 years, I personally want to travel. I want to expose myself to different cultures, to different worldviews, and traveling is a vehicle that will allow you to get to that vision, right? So in thinking about the power of having a strong vision, having a strong why anchored onto that S.M.A.R.T framework is really important. So I'd want for you to do an exercise. You can pause this video before you proceed. And it's an exercise that I really love when I'm coaching. And you do 5 whys, right? So 5 whys for the goal that you've thought about, right? So like I was sharing my personal testimony. about my health journey for 2024 is to say, I sat down and I was like, this thing is frustrating me. The fact that I'm gaining weight is frustrating me, right? I had to sit down and think about, okay, how did I get here? Obviously, I'm not eating well. I'm not taking care of my body. But why do I want to lose weight? I had to really sit down and think about it. And at the core, I found that it was affecting how I was showing up. And that was not all right. That was not okay. I remember taking one of my videos in, I think, July, when I was very consistent on my channel. And I said it. I was like, I truly want to lose weight, right? And for the past 2 months, I have been walking. Like, in a week, I'll probably do 6 kilometers almost every day, just walking. And I truly feel so happy in my body. I think I'm probably going to take up walking as a hobby in 2025 consistently, right? Because I've seen the results in my own life, right? So I'd want for you to do 5 whys. So you're going to ask, okay, I want to lose 10 kg in 10 months, right? The specific goal. Why? Because I don't like how I feel in my body. Why? Because it's affecting how I show up in my life, at work, at home. Why? Right? So you're going to do that until you get to the 5th why. I think I said my core reason at number 2. I got stuck there. But those 5 whys really have helped you to dig deep and really figure out, why do you want this particular goal for yourself? And what I love about this exercise as well, and what I've seen with my clients, is that what it exposes is you actually realizing that, wait a minute, this goal is not mine. This goal is not my own. And that is problematic, right? And for most of us, because we wear many hats, maybe you're a mother, maybe you're a CEO, you're a sister, you're an auntie, many hats. And you'd find the goals that you have are tied to your children, your nieces and nephews that you might be taking care of, and, which is all well and good. But in thinking about setting your goals for your life, I'd want for you to get to a place where you personalize them, and thinking about it from this perspective to say, once you achieved or you've reached this certain level of achievement for yourself, you show up differently for those people because you've actually allocated time to live out what it is in your heart in terms of what you believe is your place of impact for the world, for your family, for your community, and you love them better, right? The more you actually pursue your goals. So it's a selfish act of love. I don't know if that's a thing, right? So lastly, I'd want for us to really think through the reality of setting our goals, right? To say that life happens. Once you've sat on the couch and you've, done the beautiful reflection, you have to go into the arena, like Brene Brown says, and you have to do the work, right? And life will happen the way it should. The obstacles will come, they will go, they will leave you even better because they come to expose your character. But they also come in and help you learn this thing called consistency. Like, how much do you really want it? And it's very important. You see the step where we talked about vision and purpose and having a SMART goal. Very important, because now that's where it'll test your mettle. As the challenges come, as life becomes busier, for me, the key thing is, but do I really want to continue creating content on YouTube? But I'm busy. Next week I'm traveling, this and this and this. But I will make a provision because I understand how this platform ties into my business. I understand how it ties to my mental well-being, even as I reflect on my spiritual and faith journey on my other videos, right? So ultimately, you being able to navigate those obstacles will help strengthen that muscle of consistency. I've seen it. I can testify that the more you actually overcome, the more consistent the more that muscle consistency, the more stronger it gets. The bundle was finished. Ooh, itchy. I'm itchy. Okay. All right. So for this last part in terms of staying consistent, right? And consistency can look like 10 minutes every other day, right? 10 minutes, 15 minutes, you increase the following week, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, 35, 45, 50, 1 hour, right? I'd want to challenge you to look at it that way. Maybe you've been struggling. And the thing with our minds is if you haven't been doing that thing, it's going to be very hard for you to start. It's going to be very hard for you to continue. So I'd want for you to actually give yourself room and I'd say an opportunity to actually successfully launch, right? There's this term that I heard, failure to launch, where it speaks to how you start, you don't finish. But in this case, I'd say success to launch. Because in this case, you are able to maintain and have consistency in what it is you've started. So allowing yourself to start small. So in that same breath, I'd want to give you this exercise to say, dedicate 10 minutes a day to the action that moves you closer to your goals, to your goal. That one goal. Dedicate 10 minutes a day to the action that moves you closer to your goal. And I remember when I started working, I went to a game and I found a skipping rope. The skipping rope was 15 pula, very cheap, right? And you know, sometimes we think about it, and this is just me closing off today's episode. Sometimes we limit ourselves in terms of our capability because we put in these mental walls to say it's impossible. But you'd find that in setting up those limitations, those are really excuses. You're like, I can't work out because I don't have money to buy a skipping rope. I get you. But maybe in your mind, you've thought about this expensiveness as you're going to need $100. But imagine you go to game and that skipping rope is 15 pula. It was a different time. But I don't think it's that expensive anywhere else. You can even go to a Chinese shop. Go to There's No Excuse, right? In thinking about your health journey. And even more, if you have internet and you're watching this video, you can actually look up Chloe Ting and start her workouts for free on YouTube, right? So there's really no excuse. So I'd want for you to really also catch yourself, even as you're doing the reflection, to really look at yourself objectively to say, I'm actually dropping the ball. Good, even as I'd spoken about the annual general meeting, if I was to ask the question now posed a different way, to then say, have you really been tapping into your full potential in thinking about the goal, the one goal? The answer might be no, and that's perfectly fine. That's right where I need you, right? That's right where I need you. And I think going into 2025, I just want to share this, that I offer coaching programs through my business, Story Age Consulting, one-on-one coaching, group coaching, and I'd want to help you, right? I'd want for us to interact together, and I will share, maybe, if I remember, a link to my booking platform, but it is actually on my link, so you can actually click on there, book a discovery call for January. Let's have a call, a chit chat, just to hear which one of your goals you would need help, like that extra accountability to help you cross the line. That's truly why a coach exists, right? Let's just put it out there. Right? That's a sign. That's a sign. All right, so thank you so much for watching this video to the very end. It has been truly an honor being here. So next week we are going to be wrapping up week 4 of our program and stepping into the last few weeks of December. But otherwise, thank you so much for watching this video to the very end. I pray that may God's favor locate you and may His grace sustain you throughout the month of December. Thank you so much. Bye.